In the last 48 hours, you've heard me have conversations about Gen Z and the fact that I think Gen Z, 12 to 27-year-olds, are set up perhaps to be the greatest generation. And I say this because I believe a few things are true. But the number one thing that I think is true is that people in Gen Z believe that college is a scam. College is not the ticket to financial freedom. College, in fact, could be a death trap financially. So we are going to have a conversation about college being a scam. Dion, what do you think?
It brings me to one of my most proud parenting moments. I have 3 kids, and I'm transparent to them. I didn't want kids, but once I had them, I fought for custody and I raised them. And my youngest daughter was in high school, and we were at the school one time. I was running a CDL school, and the principal was there, and I actually said, "Hey, we're in this resource room." I look around and I counted. There's 64 college banners, places you can go, and where's the vocational schools? Where's the trade schools? So this was 2014, right? So this wasn't a billion years ago, but this was a decade ago. And the principal said, well, I mean, trade schools are fine, but you understand, we want people like your daughter, he points at my daughter, to go to college so they can be successful. And she goes, and she should have thought this through because she wasn't a senior. She had another year to go. She goes, I'm not going to college. I'm going to get a CDL and make twice what you do. That was her response to her principal because her dad works in the trades, right? Been in law enforcement, been Marines, been a CDL driver. There's prevailing wage jobs that start 60, 70 bucks an hour working for the county or the city that have pension, that still have all those same things that you can get as a teacher. And she knew that. She ends up getting a state job now. She went from high school to state job, and she has people with college degrees working for her because they spent 4 years learning nothing, being indoctrinated at the college. And then the principal pulls me aside and explains, okay, let me explain why. Here's why high school talks college and not trade schools. Our high school gets funding based on how many college applicants we churn out. Not people who go to college, not people who finish college, but applications submitted to colleges dictates how much funding a high school gets. So we're not going to change the narrative in school. That's why so many Gen X and millennials were told college is it, right? You get, if you don't go to college, you're a failure. I've heard you talk about, you're a loser if you don't go to college. Then they actually did a study. This was the American Education Association. 15% of high school graduates continue on to a 4-year degree. So it sounds like everybody, but it's 15%. So what do we do with the 85% that aren't? First, most of them racked up college debt and didn't get a degree, right? They went on to college. They just didn't finish and get the degree.
Or worse, got a degree, spent the 4 years, and it's a useless degree.
And here's the change for Gen Z. YouTube University.
Yeah. How about ChatGPT, AI? I mean, the stupid memorization that we had to do.
Right. Yeah. We used to have to learn was to memorize. Now to learn is to know which question to ask.
Yeah. Prompt engineer.
Right.
Yeah. And I really believe this. I mean, again, as the only one amongst the 3 of us that has a college degree and an MBA, so 6+ years, and a daughter who we spent $200,000 getting her college degree. Sucker. I'm here to tell with you, sucker, yeah, that college is a scam unless you have a plan, right? If you are going to college, right, if you want to be a doctor, go to college. If you want to be a lawyer, go to college. Like, if you have a financial plan, a return on investment, no problem. The problem is, as you mentioned, Dion, I was indoctrinated to believe without a shadow of a doubt that if I didn't go to college, my financial earnings would be nothing and I would be on welfare. That's what I was led to believe. And it's simply not true. In fact, I believe now millennials and Gen X have so much student debt that their financial futures are ruined because of going to college.
Yep.
Right. And I think colleges have lived high on the hog with ever expanding, roles of teachers and overhead and all these things, and tuition costs have gone to stupid levels. That college is a scam unless you have a plan. Matt, as the non-high school graduate, as the father of multiple kids, what are your thoughts on your experience and then kids?
I think now it's far more acceptable to be in the in the professional world and not have a degree. That becomes more and more accepted, because there's more and more people that are hiring that don't have that degree. I think that for me, it's all about options for my kids. And so I am not pushing them to go to college. It's much more, they're not going to qualify for some financial aid.
Yeah, they're not getting financial aid.
That's not going to happen. So I would be a derelict dad if I didn't at least have the option for them to go. Now, I know my kids, even at, even at 6, 5, 3 and 1, I know my kids well enough to know, I don't know which ones, but I know all of them aren't going to school. All of them are not going to go to college. Definitely not.
Just a guess, wild ass guess. I'm going to guess 1 or 2 go to college.
I agree. Yeah, it's probably 1 or 2. And the thing for me is, experientially, I want them experiencing life. I want to see what makes them thrive. I want to see what they enjoy doing. My kids go on job sites. Does that mean any of them are going to run the real estate business? I have no idea. No clue. But there's no pressure there to do it. It's like, if we get to that point, then I'm just going to Dion plan it and go, all right, we seller finance the entire portfolio. And now I make stacks, and all 4 of the kids are doing something else that they want to do. So who knows? But they'll be the most prepared 18-year-olds on the planet. And so when they go to school, they're going to say things like Dion's daughter will say to and say it to the business professors and things like that, and say, you must have learned that in the book, because that's not how it works in the real world, pal. And those are going to be the things, even now, some of those things where it's like, we have to kind of rein them in a little bit, because, their dad likes to just say whatever he wants. But yeah, I think the market's going to change as well, because there's so many resources that we can tap into that are much less expensive. And this is what happens. You want to know what happens when the government subsidizes stupidity? You end up with the college system in the US. That's what you end up with, because tons of kids that go to college in the States that get their tuition paid in cash are from other countries. They're from other countries. The biggest thing that we import, one of the biggest things that we import, is college students. It's one of the biggest things that we import, because in China, you can't get into any college you want. That's not how it works. Yeah. It works differently there. So yeah. So from my perspective, I want to make sure that we're prepared for any of our kids if they want to end up going to, in 12 years. I suspect, Stanford might be $110,000 a year. Yeah. So I might need to be writing a check for $500,000 for 4 years of college. If my kids earned it, if they're going to become an attorney, become a doctor, become something super specialized. Yeah, of course. That's who I want trained. My answer is liberal arts degrees, garbage. And 90% of the degrees that you get at these schools are garbage and useless, and you can do the job that you want without it.
Dion, some thoughts?
Can you imagine I might take a contrarian view?
Of course you will. That's fine.
I was waiting for it, actually.
No, I'm really glad Matt took the time to explain. You want your kids to have options, right? So if they want to go to school, great. And I think I had kind of an advantage with my kids, Matt. So mine are 5 years apart, right? So yeah, there's literally 5 years between all 3. So my son, the oldest, went to college, got a degree. My graduation present was a CDL, so he can actually make enough money to pay his loans back, because he got a job with his degree making $19 an hour, running a division at PayPal. Like, he had 21 people. Like, it was nothing with that degree, because so many people apply to work at PayPal with degrees. Why do they have to pay you anything?
For sure. Exactly.
So my daughters didn't go, and they're both successful in their 20s. They're not on the property ladder, but they're doing success in other ways in the workplace, making way more money than I ever did at that age, and even including inflation. Right? But they had that example. Your kids are a lot closer together, right? And Zuber and I never know how many, because I always say you have 50 kids. But
it's really 4.
Confused. Yeah, I was going to say 4. And then Dion said 5. I'm like,
right? And they're 5 years apart.
Right.
In total.
Total. Right. So by the time the one goes to college and the other one's graduating, the one will be just graduating without an example of how much college didn't help them, like it did with my son.
Well, they'll be. I mean, we'll have one. We'll have. I mean, we will get to the point where we will have. We could have somebody in grad school, somebody as a senior, somebody as a sophomore, and somebody as a freshman. Yeah, that's how stacked it is.
So, yeah. Charlie Kirk talks about college being a scam, and I talk often about how it's really hard to remember what it's like to not know something.
Sure.
So both of you are financially successful. So when we think of college, we think of the success ratio based on money. Like, does the investment have a return? We just think that way because that's how we know it. There are people who want to go and get a liberal arts degree and that should, after reaching financial freedom, not racking up debt to do it, not expecting a return in money, not going, I paid all this money for a degree, but I'm not making any money as a complaint. So yeah, in your 40s or 50s after financial freedom, go to college, right? Take an ASL class, learn something new, become an interpreter just because you feel like it, but not because you think you're going to make a lot of money at it. So, and you guys kept it politically correct. We focused on finances. Here's the scam of college. And I'm going to try to be as
defund and
unabrasive as I can.
Oh my goodness.
Over 60% of college graduates now are female, not male. And it's not because men don't want to go to college for that degree, for the education, for the return that it can get. It's because education is designed for females. At a young age now, we go, you're not going to get a recess. You're not going to get to play these things that get all this testosterone out of your body. We're going to give you Ritalin because you move around too much in classroom. We're going to punish men for being men. And we're going to say, no, you need to sit in a class. It's based on memory. This is what education is. That's not how men work. A lot of us are hands-on. We took wood shop and shop out of school. Some are putting them back, right? So then you go to college and it's like, I get toxic masculinity. If a guy pretends to be a girl and gets in sports so he can dominate the sport, toxic masculinity. But if you go to college and you say, that boy opened that door for that girl, he needs a written up because he can't be toxic masculinity on our campus, because that's what they do. You can't be a boy, be an actual man, be a provider, a protector, the way we're biologically designed to do it at college. Why do you think guys aren't going there?
I guess college has changed a lot since I went, because I don't remember any. Well, first off, boys should not be playing women's sports. That's just stupid. That's crazy. I can't. Yeah. Anyways, that's nuts. And as a girl dad, I certainly wouldn't want my daughter. So my daughter takes she's in the martial arts and Thai boxing. Right. She just had her third match. She's 3-0. She's a killer. I wouldn't want her growing up against a guy. You freaking kidding me? That's
exactly.
No freaking way. It's just not. Stop it. Even if they weighed the same. I mean, that's different. Just freaking wacko to me. But all this, not opening doors and all of that, is that really where college has gone? Because I can't.
And that's barely touching the
it's
toxic
everywhere. It's
masculinity.
everything.
Like it's kind of where the pronouns came from. If
I am so glad my kid is older than all of yours.
If you call somebody ma'am, that's disrespectful.
Oh my goodness.
Because you're assuming the gender. You're using the patriarchy to put women in a box. Like all of these things that I've heard my kids talk about, because my son went to college. I've got other friends' kids that went to college.
How old are your kids again? How old is your son? Your oldest?
It's right now, I get this wrong, 32, 27, 22.
All right,
like
so
there's 5 years
about the
between
same
them all.
age. Yeah,
they might be coming up, and I think they just had birthdays this year, so I'm probably a year off on that. But there are 5 years between each one, not 5 years with all of them in there like Matt's.
Wow. All right.
I've seen the whole spread of what you need to be okay with. And you go onto a college campus, look at the protests they have. I won't even say what it means, but if you're watching this and you have kids, you know what ACAB means. Write that on everything. And that's what's going around the college campuses now.
No idea, but okay. All right, folks, that's it. College is a scam. Certainly don't want to be what do they call it? The mind virus or something? I've heard some people call this. Yeah. At the end of the day, I have a lot of hope for Gen Z. And a lot of it's because I think college is a scam unless you have a plan. Right. I think there are absolutely some people that should go. I don't think everybody should go. I think there's a lot of people going that A, don't complete, and B, are getting a useless degree. Again, if you go to school with a useless degree, you come out with $100,000 in debt. That's just financial suicide. And I think Gen Z is the first generation that's going to go, you know what? Not for me. In fact, the Wall Street Journal wrote an article over the weekend talking about the next 100K careers, the trades. And that's the magic of this, is if Gen Z realizes that college is a scam, AKA they have options, they could go get a trade, become, I don't know, it's not an intern, but whatever that is, the lower class
Apprentice.
Thank you. To
Mhm.
someone and then take over their business.
Mhm.
Guys, I don't know what you got in your Rolodex for partners, but like when I look at my painters, electricians, plumbers, they're all over 50 and some of them are 60,
Mm.
right? Time is undefeated. Those are
Mhm.
people are going to retire out. So if Gen Z steps into that void created by Gen X and millennials, because we thought college degree was the secret to the success, I mean, they could be gravy. They could sop it up with a biscuit. It's going to be crazy.
So I probably should have started with this, and I hate the way my mind works sometimes, but I have actual personal knowledge on how college is a scam. So I ran a CDL school. It's in the trades. Here's what we're going to see in the next few years, because people who run colleges aren't stupid, right? Just because you're educated doesn't mean you're stupid, right? We were tricked into getting a degree sometimes as a society that had no good result. That's stupid, but the person isn't stupid.
Mhm.
So colleges develop CDL programs. They develop welding programs. They develop trades programs. But here's how funding works for a college. So in order to get a CDL, which is driving a semi, you need to pass a test in most states. In some states, you just have to pass a test. That's it.
Yeah.
If you can pass the test, prove you can drive the truck, you're fine. Well, in a lot of states, you have this curriculum requirement, 160 hours. You have to do so many hours of each training and pass a test, right? So that's kind of that's what Washington State is. Well, colleges can't do that. Colleges have to have a set number of hours per curriculum in a quarter in order to be able to get the title funds from FAFSA and grants and that kind of stuff. So an example here is our school was 4 weeks long. You could take extra courses and make it take 8 weeks, but there was a 6-month college course to get the same CDL.
Wow.
So they can get funding,
Right.
which included math and English.
Yeah.
Now, because you have to get so many credits and so many hours, and there's only so much you need to learn driving a truck. And those schools weren't out on the road driving their trucks because that's the expensive part of CDL training. The colleges aren't dumb. They're not going to waste money on the expensive part. The private sector with CDL training is just trucks.
Yeah.
Maybe simulators to get you ready, but it's not math, it's not English. So the college scam is they're going to go, okay, we're going to train you on the trades. Here's these other stupid classes you don't need in this field so that we can get you funding at this exorbitant amount, like whatever how that word works, this really high amount, so we can get you funding for it. That's the scam. The government has set it up to where it has to have a minimum hours of training for a skill that really requires passing a test. That's the federal FMCSA requirement, is that you can pass the test. Each state can add more, but that's the actual only requirement. Like Texas, you can take a 2-hour class as long as you can pass the test, which is the skill needed. If you could pass the driving test, you could drive the truck until you go to college. Now it's 6 months. 6 months
on the trade. Sorry,
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so same on the trades. On the trades, it's 2,000 hours. It's 2,000 hours. It's 10,000 hours of total field work to get your master's, to basically get your master plumber, master electrician. It's 10,000. You can't do that in less than 5 years. Right. So what they've done is created this artificially high barrier of entry. I can promise you, there is nothing in the 5-year that you shouldn't know in 2 years. I mean, come on, it's ridiculous. So it's protectionism. And that's one of the things that's challenging about unions is they want that bar to remain very high because that's what helps keep their wages crazy high. And for them to say that their wages aren't crazy high, that's just silly. And whoever wrote that article is a moron and behind the times, because 7 years ago, plumbers, electricians, all those guys are making $100 an hour. And once you get your master's, the key is getting your master's, because once you get your master plumber or master electrician, you can actually then pull permits and you can do that on your own. That's the idea. So
that's the magic. Yeah.
That's the magic, because at that point you don't need to work for somebody else. If you're
that's actually the key of the article is, again, back to my vision for Gen Z. You could go this route, get a college degree, come out with maybe useful, maybe not, plus a lot of debt, or B, basically the same time you're in the trades, and at the end of that you're making multiple 6 figures.
Yes.
Go left.
I know a 6-year electrician making 165 grand. 6 years. That's it. 165. Yeah.
That's crazy. So at the end of the day, I think Gen Z is set up in a remarkable way. I do believe that Gen Z is going to have to take ownership. I think there's some, there's a lot of laziness, a lot of defeatism, a lot of noise and doom out there. But if you just sit down, buckle up, and realize that you can, take the world by the horns and do something, the fact that you don't go to college doesn't mean you're a loser. It just means maybe you're an entrepreneur. You're going to do it a different way. I think Gen Z's really got a shot. I think millennials and Gen X were set up to fail in a lot of respects because a lot of them went to college because they thought that was the key, and it's not the key, and it won't be the key in 5 to 10 years with Chat GPT and AI. It'll be about what you can do with your hands, right? Can you problem solve? Can you communicate? Can you create stuff? And that's not rote memorization. College is a scam for lots of people. Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom, where I do a live stream every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, where you can come and pick on me because of my views.
There you go. And Matt?
Wouldn't miss it, Dion. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern time is our live stream, and go for a couple of hours, just answering your questions and making sure that you get to be part of the community. And between all of us, we all do live streams at different times because we recognize that real people watch us.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
Ciao.